I worked for him for 5 years. 5 years inside the most luxurious house I had ever seen. 5 years surrounded by marble floors, silent hallways, and rooms so large they echoed when you walked through them. People thought I was lucky. Working for a billionaire was supposed to be the dream, but none of them knew what I discovered one night. None of them knew about the room hidden behind the wall, and the moment I stepped inside, I realized my boss wasn't just rich. He was hiding something terrifying, something no one was ever supposed to find. 5 years earlier, I was broke. Fresh out of college, drowning in debt, and desperate for work. That's when I saw the listing. Personal assistant needed for private estate, salary, $120,000 per year. It sounded unreal. When I arrived at the estate for the interview, the gates alone were taller than a house. Security cameras watched every angle. The driveway stretched almost half a mile before the mansion appeared through the trees. The house looked like something from a movie. 3 floors of glass and stone, balconies overlooking an endless forest, a private lake behind it. And somewhere inside that mansion lived the man I was about to work for. His name was Victor Langston, one of the richest tech billionaires in the world. When I met him, he didn't look like a billionaire. He wore simple clothes, black shirt, gray jacket, no watch, no jewelry. But his eyes were different, sharp, observant, like he was studying everything around him, even me. "You'll manage my schedule," he said calmly. "Emails, meetings, deliveries. Nothing complicated." I nodded, trying to hide how nervous I was. Then he added something strange. "There are parts of this house you must never enter." I thought it was a joke. He wasn't smiling. "Some doors are locked for a reason," he said. "If you see one, you walk away." I should have asked why, but the salary was life-changing, so I said yes. Working for Victor Langston was strange. The house was enormous, but most of it was empty. Entire wings had no furniture. Some rooms had plastic sheets covering everything, and yet the staff was tiny. Just 5 of us: a chef, a gardener, a security guard, a housekeeper, and me. Victor rarely hosted guests. He rarely left the house. Most days, he stayed inside his private office, working on something. The strange part was the deliveries. Every week, trucks arrived with equipment, computers, metal crates, laboratory supplies. But there was no lab in the house. At least, not one we were allowed to see. Whenever I asked about it, Victor just said, "Research, nothing more." There was one hallway we were all told to avoid. The East Wing. No one cleaned it. No one entered it. Even the housekeeper refused to go near it. Once I asked her why. She looked nervous. "I heard something there once," she whispered. "What kind of something?" She shook her head. "Like machines." "But this house is full of machines," I said. She leaned closer. "No. Different machines." I laughed it off. But after that day, I started noticing things. At night, a faint humming sound, coming from somewhere behind the walls. It was almost midnight. Victor had flown to Switzerland for a conference. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I was working late in the office when I heard it again, that humming noise, louder than usual. Curious, I followed the sound down the hallway, toward the East Wing. The hallway lights flickered. The air felt colder. At the end of the corridor was a door. Steel, no handle, no keypad, just a smooth, metal surface. But something was different. The wall next to the door was slightly open, like a panel had been moved. Inside was a small scanner. I stared at it. My heart was racing. Victor's words echoed in my mind. "Some doors are locked for a reason." I should have walked away, but curiosity is dangerous. And I pressed my hand against the scanner. Nothing happened. Then suddenly, click. The steel door slid open. Cold air rushed out. The lights inside flickered on automatically. And what I saw didn't make sense. The room wasn't a room. It was an underground facility. Rows of glowing computer servers filled the space. Screens covered the walls, each one displaying different data, maps, satellite images, surveillance feeds. But the center of the room was the strangest part. A glass chamber. Inside it was a chair, surrounded by wires and sensors. Like something from a science fiction movie, I stepped closer. On the screens nearby were thousands of human profiles. Names, photos, addresses, personal data. My stomach dropped. This wasn't research, this was surveillance, mass surveillance, on everyone. And then I saw something that made my blood run cold. My own face, on one of the screens. A file opened automatically. My entire life appeared on the screen. School records, medical history, phone calls, emails, even private messages. Victor knew everything about me, everything about everyone. Then a message appeared on the main monitor. "Welcome back," I froze. A camera above the screen moved slowly, watching me. Then another message appeared. "I wondered how long it would take you." My heart pounded. Victor was watching me, even though he was supposed to be in Switzerland. Then the final message appeared. "Now you know." The glass chamber suddenly lit up. The screens around the room changed. Instead of surveillance data, they began displaying human brains, neural patterns, signals, brain scans. Then I understood. Victor wasn't just watching people. He was studying them, studying how humans think, how they make decisions, how they behave. The chair in the center wasn't a chair. It was a machine designed to read minds, or maybe control them. And suddenly, everything made sense. The data, the research equipment, the secrecy. Victor wasn't building technology. He was building power. The power to control human behavior on a global scale. Just as I realized this, I heard something behind me. Footsteps. Slow. Echoing. Coming from the hallway. I turned around. The steel door was open, and standing in the doorway was Victor. He looked calm, almost amused. "I told you not to come here," he said quietly. My mind raced. "I can explain." "No," he interrupted. "You can't." He stepped inside the room. The door slid shut behind him. And suddenly, I realized something terrifying. No one else knew this room existed. No one would hear me. Victor walked toward the glass chamber. "Curiosity is a dangerous trait," he said, "but also a useful one." He looked at me, studying my reaction. "Tell me," he said softly, "after seeing all of this, what do you think I'm building?" I didn't answer. He smiled slightly. "The future." Victor turned on the machine. The glass chamber glowed. "Every government spies on its people," he said. "Every company collects data. But I am doing something bigger." He looked directly at me. "I'm building the first system capable of predicting human decisions." My stomach twisted. "That's impossible." He smiled again. "It was." He pointed to the chair. "I need test subjects." My heart skipped. "You want to control people?" "No," he said calmly. "I want to understand them." He paused, then said something chilling. "And eventually, guide them." Victor opened the glass chamber. "Sit," he said. I shook my head. "I'm leaving." "You can't," he replied quietly. Then he pressed a button. The screens changed again. Security cameras appeared, showing the entire mansion. And outside, armed guards were arriving. "You discovered the room," Victor said, "which means you have two choices." He looked at the chair again. "You help me finish my work. Or," his voice lowered, "you disappear." The humming machine grew louder. The lights dimmed, and I realized something horrifying. The door behind me was locked, and the only way out was through him. I thought working for a billionaire would change my life. I was right, but not in the way I expected. Because that night, inside the secret room, I discovered something far worse than a billionaire's secret. I discovered a machine designed to control the future. And Victor Langston had just made me part of it, whether I wanted to be or not.